When the swinging doors open, the bar holds its breath. There's no duel, no glamour, just a damp floor, a strong smell, sticky wood, and faces trying to forget. It's a shelter and a business, never a stage. Behind the facade, noise, salty skin, rules made on the spot, and tabs that don't add up. Today we're walking through it together. No cuts, no polish. Want to see what it's like? Push the door again and come with me. Number 1. To picture a real saloon, turn off the movies. In mining camps and train stops, it was almost always the first business to appear. It started out temporary, canvas on poles, a mud hut, a shelter built from scraps. With a bit of profit, the canvas turned into boards, and the false front went up. A tall wall selling grandeur where there was none. It wasn't vanity, it was strategy. The look of permanence drew customers and kept the cash flowing. Few towns ever saw polished saloons like the ones in Deadwood or Tombstone. Anyone pushing the door open felt the heavy air, stale beer, harsh whiskey, sweat, and tobacco smoke. With every swing, dust from the beaten road drifted in, along with a hint of manure. Music was rare. When it came, it didn't last. The real soundtrack was the murmur of voices, cut through by dry coughs. The eyes confirmed it. The wooden floor was covered with sawdust to catch spills and spit. It stayed damp and stained. The bar stuck to your palm, polished by use and spilled sugar. Light came from kerosene lamps, fighting the shadows and tinting everything with smoke. Even the swinging doors, remembered for dramatic entrances, served a simple purpose: to pull in fresh air and push out smell and dust. In the end, the saloon didn't promise luxury or romance. It served another purpose: to create with whatever was at hand a sign of stability in uncertain land. For newcomers, it sent a clear message: stay for the night. Tomorrow we'll see if the town's still standing. Number 2. A fertile ground for disease. In the saloon of the Old West, danger didn't come knocking. It slipped in through habit. Taking a bath was a project. Draw water from the well, fire up the stove, wait for it to boil, drag out the tub. In many homes, there was only one, shared by everyone: father, mother, and kids. By the time it got to the youngest, what was left was a lukewarm, murky soup. The mouth followed a similar path. With no toothbrush, a blade scraped off the leftovers. Got infected? Relief came in the barber's chair or the blacksmith's forge, pliers and a shot of whiskey. The towns made things worse. With no sewage system, trash went into the street and came back with the rain and wind, turning into mud and dust. Some of that mess found its way into the saloon, stuck to boots, coats, and wagon wheels. Inside, crowded rooms were home to lice, flies, and cockroaches. The math was simple: poor hygiene, almost no sanitation, and pests everywhere. In that environment, disease thrived. Cholera spread through shared cups, rinsed in a hurry. Tuberculosis flourished in smoke-filled rooms. Smallpox jumped from skin to skin like fire through dry grass. By nightfall, every casual act, a toast, a handshake, a sip, could spark a fever. People feared the bar fight and the gun at the hip, but the real threat was invisible. For the average customer, the biggest danger wasn't a stray bullet. It was what passed from hand to hand, from mouth to mouth, fed by carelessness, crowding, and dust. In the end, it wasn't duels that filled the graves. It was routine, digging the ground a little deeper every day. Number 3. In the Old West, the real threat in the saloon didn't hide under your boots. It gleamed inside the bottle. Real bourbon was rare and expensive. What got poured across the counter earned nicknames that served as warnings: coffin varnish, tarantula juice, rat poison. And it wasn't just a figure of speech. To keep the drinks flowing without going broke, many made their own whiskey. Grain alcohol bought by the bucket, colored with burnt sugar and given extra kick from chewing tobacco, which added nicotine straight into the glass. Then came whatever else was on hand: turpentine, creosote, wood preservative, and other mixtures no one today would dare touch to their lips. The result was a harsh shot, one that could knock a cowboy flat, leaving nausea, fever, and days-long hangovers. It wasn't an isolated trick. On the frontier and in mining camps, weak oversight made room for it all. Labels meant little. Every sip was a gamble. Even beer wasn't safe. Without refrigeration, it came warm and flat, and anyone asking for something stronger often ended up with a barrel laced with drugs. In that world of haste, swagger, and faith in liquid courage, raising a glass also meant bargaining with danger. Many toasted thinking they were defying fate, without realizing the real threat was right there in the amber liquid. Calling it rat poison wasn't an insult back then. It was a diagnosis of an era when the saloon lit up the night and at the same time put the liver to the test. Number 4. The shine promised by the movies never fit inside the saloon. Vice and violence were there, sure, but daily life moved to a different rhythm. When a dispute broke out, it usually ended quickly. 2 or 3 men growling over cards, a debt gone bad, or a smart remark. Over time, many towns required guns to be left at the door. The threat didn't disappear, it just changed shape. Fists and shoves started settling fights that once would have ended in blood. Inside, gambling set the pace. Worn decks passed from hand to hand, chips scraped against the wood, and conversation filled the air. Some dealers treated their own names as their bond. Without trust, no table stayed full. Around them, card sharps waited to fleece newcomers with invisible marks and quick fingers. Between rounds, music, laughter, and toasts kept the energy up, feeding the belief that the next hand might turn the night around. It's worth refocusing on the women. The saloon girls sold sociability. They sang, danced, served drinks, made small talk, and kept customers from leaving. For many, it was one of the few jobs that offered any say in their own lives. Prostitution followed a different path, with its own rules, little protection, and constant risk, a separate trade, almost always outside the main hall. In the end, there was no epic behind those swinging doors. There was calculation and negotiation. There were people trying to buy a pause between one danger and the next. The real West ran on a method, little glamour, plenty of pragmatism. The saloon, less legend than livelihood, learned every night, covered its losses, paid the band, and opened again the next day. It survived on deals and reputations, not on high noon shootouts. Number 5. Not everyone walked through those doors. Beneath the dust of the Old West, the saloon worked like a social machine driven by unwritten rules. They decided who could come in and how to behave. At the bar, cowboys, miners, sheriffs, and outlaws rubbed shoulders. Roles shifted without warning. Today's lawman could be tomorrow's troublemaker. Respectable women stayed outside. Native peoples and Chinese immigrants were turned away. Black men stopped at the fence of white-owned property and built their own saloons. And there was a less obvious restriction: soldiers. The uniform rubbed people the wrong way, and owners preferred to avoid trouble with the law. Those who passed the first filter faced another one: behavior. Discretion was the rule. No one asked where you came from or pressed for answers. Holding someone's gaze too long could end badly. There was also the ritual of the round. If someone offered a drink, it was expected to be accepted. Refusing could be taken as an insult, and that was enough to start a fight. The everyday scene had little of Hollywood's shine. Sweat and smoke filled the air. Many places served questionable liquor, sometimes mixed with poison. Hygiene was poor, disease ran rampant. To keep the night going, patrons imposed their own strict order, trying to hold back the chaos that waited outside. When you look at the real saloon, the legend falls apart. It wasn't a stage for flat heroes, but a stop for ordinary people with crossing stories, chasing rest, news, quick money, or forgetting. What held that world together wasn't glamour, but the mix of exclusions and rituals that shaped social life. There you see a community trying to organize coexistence through habit, while the frontier demanded a heavy price from everyone. And you, what stands out to you more? The fake whiskey, the threat of fever, or the code of manners that mattered more than a gun? Think about that as you step, in your mind, through those swinging doors.